Hello, everybody. So, I want to make a diamond halo template for a pendant. So I'm going to throw in let's see, I want this to work for either, a lot of diamond halos, they're either a bezel or prong set for the center. So I'm going to use the prong set block, and we'll do a 5mm stone. And I think I'm going to base the girdle of this stone on 0. And then, so I have a little plugin that I've been working on for creating symmetric curves. I also want this to work in case they want to use an oval. So I'm going to do this little program that I've been working on. One day I hope to release it to everybody. But it's not quite there yet, but it's for creating symmetric curves. So let's see, I want a circle that's like 5mm radius or diameter. Hide that real quick. And then let's rebuild this to, let's see, let's go degree 5. Actually, let's keep it 3, because sometimes ovals you can get kind of modified cushion modified brilliant, where it's kind of rectangular shaped. And so I'm going to leave it as degree 3 so we can have better control if we want to tighten up the corner or relax the corner. And then let's see, I'm going to need we want the control points to be divisible by 4, so like 12. Now let's go 8. Boom, boom, boom. I can always add more control points to it later if need be. But yeah, that looks right. And I'm going to leave the points on. And I'm just going to trace the control points with a polyline. Boom, boom, boom. And then delete that. So my little tool is called Symmetric Curve, and it uses the U of this surface to define symmetry. So you give it a base plane, you give it a curve, and we are going to have 2 axes of symmetry, and tell it this is going to be a degree 3 curve. And the tolerance is just how close to the mirror plane does it need to be for it to snap to it. So that way I can move it off a 1/4 millimeter and it will project, or if it's not pointing towards the mirror plane, it will sorry, this is extend. It will project, but I'm going to undo that because I want it to be yeah, right there. So this is going to control, we're going to do a sweep 1 for the halo shape. So this is going to be the rail. So this stone and this rail is what, well, I'm not going to use anything on the stone. I'm just going to move this up here and out of the way and make a layer for it. We'll call this halo body. And I'll put that on the curves layer because that's going to be our sweep rail, and this is our control. And then that's going to be on control. And the reason I use a plane for this is so that you can move this to any orientation and you'll still have symmetry working. So if you want to edit something in space, most times you edit it flat, but if you want to move it over here, you can still have that symmetry defined. Okay, so I've got my rail, I've got a stone, and now we need to look at making the body for it. So what I'm going to do is draw I'll use a polyline. And the first thing is, how much space do we need between the stone and where the halo starts. So if this was prong set fishtail, that would be a 1/4 millimeter. So I'm going to do that, and then probably we're using 1.3 millimeter stones, so 1.3. And then how much space do we want on the outside edge? If it was a fishtail, a 1/15 to a 1/4 of a millimeter, I'll just do 0.25 again. Oop, I didn't do the 1.3. I didn't click it. And then 0.25. And then this needs to come down. Actually, I'm going to stop it there. So we want this to be below the stone, maybe like minus 0.04. Let's just do that. Okay, so now we're 0.04 below the girdle. And then I'm going to do another line that just goes straight down. And I made these two separate lines because I want to offset this one. I'm going to have stones set here, so I'm going to make a offset. And the offset I'm going to make for this is like 1.2, maybe 1.1. And then what do I want my wall thickness to be? Well, I'm going to offset that, and I'm just going to say like 0.8, 0.75, somewhere in that range. And these two curves I'm going to put onto the 0 layer as a reference. So 0 is going to stay locked, and I'm making this flat, but really I'm going to decide what angle I want this to be at once I'm done. But it's easier adjusting this while it's flat to get our stone spacing or our body width right while it's flat. And then after we get it, we can move it to whatever angle we want it to be, maybe minus 11 degrees, something like that. And then we'll be able to see, like, is our wall thick enough? So those are going to be our guide layers for that. Then we want to come over, let's see, I'll go back to using a polyline. And then right about to here. And then we need to come up to the stone. Continue curve. Accidental right click there. We need to come up to the stone. We need to come over to catch the girdle. I'm going to use a little snap to get that to there and then back to there. So now I've got multiple pieces here, and I'm going to join those together with join copy. Join copy. And this curve we'll throw onto our curves layer. And I'm going to turn this off. Now, I'm not going to use straight sections in the end. I'm going to use fillet curve to add fillets to this before we before we're done. But as a template, it just makes it easier to work with these straight lines, and fillet curve is not going to fail us here. That means the rest of these curves, because I just turned those off, those are going to be our control curves. So now I can turn this back on, turn off the control, and now I am just left with these curves, and I'll go ahead and do the sweep one. So let's do a sweep one. This is my rail. That's my profile. Now that's pretty hideous, but this is how we're going to start it off. When we get to doing the real thing, we'll adjust this part to get the right width, and then we'll rotate this down, whatever our angle is. Oh, I've got curve on, not, I can turn curves off, put this onto our surface layer, leave that on, but lock it, turn off the curves. Okay. I did not turn control on. There we go. So when we get ready, like this and this, I'll turn the points on, and I just want to grab these. And once I get this spacing set up, then I'm going to come over here. I'll rotate that down to a comfortable angle. I need to extend this down. So I'll align the control point, and I can turn on snappy dragging and snap an O snap right there. And that will make the bottom of it flat. And then I can do the fillet curve on these. I kind of want to keep that as a sharp corner. I would switch over to the curves, turn lock history off, and say fillet. And down here at the bottom, I would want to do like maybe a 0.2 and fillet that, and then fillet that. And then over here, I might want to do a much bigger fillet. So we'll maybe like 0.35 and give that a fillet, and that a fillet, and that a fillet. Okay, so that's the body shape we end up with when we're done. But I'm going to undo all that for now because I want to keep that history. Just showing you that it's not going to be a hideous box when we're finished. Okay, then we need sometimes we need a base for these things. I like having a base sometimes. If it's really big and we need to make it shallow, we don't want that culet to poke through and scratch them on the chest. So should we go ahead and make a body for that? We also need a lot of times to put a pattern on this side. So we should go ahead and make the flow surface for that. But I'm going to leave that for now and look at the head. So for the head, we have one of two options. I'm going to come over here to my templates and pull in a prong. Let's go prong. Let's pull that in, import file. Okay, and then I'm going to make this real easy. Let's see. Turn the points on for this. Let's just go ahead and say set XY to there, set XY to there, and then we'll drop this down. I still have snappy dragging on. I just turned it off, and we'll go ahead and move that right about there. Over here, because this is a pendant, I do not need a big prong for this. So I'm going to grab my control curves. These curves were made with that symmetric curve tool as well. So I can, change the orientation on that and still have symmetric editing. Oop, I turned lock off and rotated that. Turn lock back on. Rotate it or move it or rotate it like I wanted to. And I should still have symmetry on this. Yep. Okay. I'm going to scale these down. So scale 2D. And right now they're 1.1. And for a pendant, we don't get a lot of wear. So let's say I want them to be like 0.8 millimeter prongs. So to get there, I'll say 0.8 divided by 1.1. The size we're going to divided by the size it is now. And now we have 0.8 millimeter prongs. And then it's just a matter of putting this where it's like a third of the prong is intersecting the stone. So we can come back a little bit more. And this is way too tall, so we'll shrink that down. it's not poking through the bottom. I think this might be a little more than a third. It's right about a third. And then I can set these all to have the same Z's. And if I want to kick the prong back a little bit so the setter doesn't have to bend it back before he bends it forward, I can do that. And just start off with that backward shape. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2 is if this is going to be a bezel. And I'll go ahead and do mirror 4. So if we want to do a bezel, let's turn that off and we'll make a new layer called bezel. And I'm just going to make sure curves are on. And I can hide control for now. Okay, so for a bezel, I'm going to trace it here and then move it somewhere else so it's out of the way. But for a bezel, let's start with a polyline. Let's come down to here. Let's go to there. And I need to be about like a 1/4 millimeter above the girdle. And then I want to come out at 45 degrees. Let's see. My bezel thickness is probably going to be about 0.4. So let's come over here. Can I get a snap there? Yep. And then I can come up here and come over and down. Good. Oh, I had a no snap. What do you call it? Give me a snap. There we go. I want to snap there. And then close that curve. Okay, and if you want this to have a little bit of a shape to it, we can do that. Let's see. I'm going to move this over like 15 millimeters over to this side. And I'll explode it. And just grab this piece and just take a... If you want to give it like a little bit of a shape. Now the idea is the setter is going to hammer this wall to here. That's going to bend over the girdle. And then you have a nice flat edge to polish and get a nice bright shine on. If you've... New Approach School for Jewelers, if you have taken their setting class and done bezels the way they do it, this is kind of how that works. You would have a little cutout here, give a little space for the girdle, but I'll let the setter do that part of it. What did I just click on? Oh, that little catenary curve. And we can take these two, and you might want these to be at the same point. Measure the distance from there to there. A little over 0.4. Let's join that all up. So when we join points on, bring that in just a hair. Measure that distance again. 435, close enough. Okay, now it's going to get from here to there via this curve. That way when we scale this curve to match whatever our stone is, this will get put into place. So I'm going to draw another curve like this and move that over 15. And this is our control curve for the bezel. So I'll put that onto control. Ooh, I did not draw that right. Delete. Line from midpoint. We're going to snap there. Come out. go over 15. There we go. This is going to go on to our bezel curves for the flow, because we're going to flow from there to there. This is already on the halo body, so I'm not going to duplicate it or anything. We'll just reuse it. And now I'm going to flow rigid, stretch, yeah. That one, I'm going to go from there to there. And that puts it over there. I can move this along that curve wherever I want if I don't quite like how that's lining up, but that's fine by me. And then we'll do a sweep one for this one as well, using that as the rail, as our profile curve. And there is our bezel surface. So now I can choose between having the bezel or the prongs, whatever the model calls for. Both are baked in. And what's left? Just the base surface, and maybe I should go ahead and do cutouts. I'll click this surface and do a create UV curve, and we can move this to an island like right there. And I'll put that onto halo body surf. We don't need that point anymore. Okay, so if we wanted like a diamond shaped cutout, let's see, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay. If we want to reduce the weight or something. Thanks, Arturo Martin. Let's see. I'm going to do fillet. Should I do fillet corners now? I think I should leave that up to... I think I should leave that for later. You know what? Probably want to... make this some kind of a block. That's easy to scale, but I don't have a good way, because I want this diamond pattern to, you know, repeat all the way around, just to cut out the sidewall, take some weight off of it. But I don't have a really great way for putting that into a template. Because whenever we scale this and this changes, oh, you know what? This should be part of, this should flow from there to there as well. So when we change the size, that should change with it. Yeah. Okay. So our control, let's go ahead and delete that surface, and we'll delete the join copy curve. Actually, we don't need to delete the join copy curve. Let's take this and move it 15 again. This curve now needs to be on the halo body curves. And I'm going to take this join copy and flow it back over here. So I will do the same thing. Flow rigid stretch, yes. Go from there to there. And now I will do this sweep one on this curve. Oh, don't pre-select the profile because it wants the curve first. And then throw that onto... Now I would like for this and this to be over here because I tend to want to edit it from the front. It's just a personal preference thing. Easy enough to do. All I have to do is rotate this from 0, and right now it's right there, and I want it to be right there, and now that curve is moved over. Easy peasy. So now we can do that kind of layout stuff over here, including with the bezel. They'll be on top of each other. This is where we do our editing. It'll show up back over here. I like that. That works. Okay. For the pattern, no good way of doing a repeating pattern with history, because you're going to need to change the number of diamond shapes that you have. So I think I'll leave this out of the template. I'll just have the base surface ready to go, so that we can take and make a extrude curve, make a cutout block, and then flow it. We'll just do flow rigid from there to there, and we'll have this cutout block ready. Okay, so that is, let me turn on this so I can see. I am going to use extract surface instead of explode. I'm going to right click it and just do extract surface with a copy so that I can turn this off and look at the dir on this. And we've got our normals pointing the right way. But this is going opposite how this is in my mind. So I'm going to go to next mode. We don't need to swap. Our use, let's see, our seam is here. So that would be right there. And that is going that way, which matches that one. So next mode, flip V. That is the problem, I think. So now that bottom matches that corner. That in my head makes more sense. So if you don't do this, I tell it auto adjust no, especially when I'm making a template. I do it all the time, but especially when making a template, I want my flow surface and my target surface to kind of match up. So these surfaces now work. I can leave that in the model because I'll do my layout and then float on at the end. But this surface is now trash because we're using the actual surface. We can flow rigid from there to this outside surface, and it'll get put into place. So maybe I will put layers in here for the checkerboard, but nah, I'm not going to. I'll just leave that in here on working layer. This is going to go onto our halo body surf. Let me go back to a shaded view so I can see that everything's on a layer. And we're just going to leave that off. Now, let's make a base for this. May not use it, but sometimes we do want a base. So I'm going to make another layer, and we'll call this base, halo base. And I just want to take this, let's see. We're going to rotate this at some point, right? We're going to, let's grab those curves, turn points on, and go ahead and rotate this just a little bit around. So if I make this base with this outside edge and just extrude it up, that actually would work. Just extrude it up, it's not going to stick through the side. But if I use that outside edge and for whatever reason I rotated it, I rotate it the other way. Maybe I grab these guys and rotate it like this. Okay, now if that was extruded straight up it's going to be picking out the side. I don't think that's going to happen, but just to be safe, let's take the ISO curve from the center. That way if it's rotated in or rotated out, the base won't stick through because our base is going to be flat. So I'm going to extract an ISO curve from here, and I'll just grab that midpoint. And this is what we're going to extrude to get the base. So I'm going to put this onto Halo base curve, and I'm going to say extrude curve, and extrusions aren't editable. But if we get to that point in a model and we want to make it thicker or thinner, we've already done the outside shape, so we don't need to control it anymore. So we'll just break history and make it thicker or thinner depending on the circumstance. It's going to be the right shape by the time we get to this point in the model. So I'll turn both sides off, and we will just say 0.75, because we usually go for, make a pendant as light as possible. And that'll give us a base plane that we can cut out with our checkerboard pattern or whatever else we plan on using. So for this, I need to create another UV surface. Okay, and I'll do the same thing where I extract a copy of that surface, and then we can grab both of those and isolate and do a dir to make sure that they're pointing the same direction. And right now they are not. So let's flip the V on that one. Oops, next mode. We need to flip the direction. Next mode, we're not going to swap. So now that matches, the V matches, and the normal matches. So when we flow something on here, it will flow the same way onto our base. So I can delete that. And we'll grab this. I don't need that though. Why did it, I've not seen it make two of these before. Well, let's check it out. I'm gonna copy that. Actually, we'll use this copy. Just put it over here. I'm gonna make it stick more out of the bottom than the top. And I can say flow surf rigid from there to this bottom surface. And that is flowing, it's more out of the bottom. It's in the same quadrant. So that is a good flow surface. We'll delete that and move. You know what? Untrim all. Let's go back to here. And this curve, I'm going to flow rigid from here to there. So that way, if this gets resized, it'll be, I don't want to flow rigid, I just want to flow regular. Excuse me. We'll take that curve and flow regular from that surface to that surface. So if this gets resized or that changes size, it'll match. And then I can take that and move it from here to another little island somewhere. Our prongs are right there, so let's use that island. And this is going to go onto our Halo base surf. That point can go in the trash now. This is going to go onto 0 because we'll never need to edit it. It's going to be whatever this ISO curve is. So we can see what space we have to fill. What is this point? I don't know what that point is, but there's something locked somewhere. So I'm going to click my all selectable, which is going to turn everything in the file on. I'm going to grab that point and look, and maybe I didn't hit delete, maybe I hit lock. I don't know. Either way, that can go away. And then my all selectable script, I'm going to undo it. Okay. And then this is going to go on to Halo base. And if we turn everything off, we shouldn't have anything except our little checkerboard cut out. And turn layout off, all that goes away. Okay. Turn this stuff back on. We'll leave that. So how do we connect dependent to something? Well, sometimes we have a little jump ring. So here's what I'll do for that. I'll put in a little circle, and let's say 0.8 millimeter on the diameter, and we'll want that to be kind of at that edge, which we should use this so it always ends up on the edge. Oh, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to move this from that quad over to this edge, but we want this to be right on that line. So we want this to be right there. We want it to be in the top third because this is where our weight is going to be. And then I just need one more curve for, let's see, I'm going to take and just snap that over and push that out. Let's take, let's go ahead and make a layer for this. So this is going to be the jump ring. So I'll just call it JR. And those are going to be the control for the jump ring control. And then I'm going to flow rigid with stretch from there to, let's see, there. Okay, and on this side, this is no longer, these are no longer control. They're the curves that make the surface, so we'll put those onto curves. And then I will say revolve. And the curve to revolve is that one. And the start of our axis, if you hit the end snap and start snap, then this now has history. So I can come over here and grab that curve, move it in, and I can change the size of that jump ring. And if I change this curve, that will change the diameter of the jump ring. So that's going to go onto our jump ring surface. I clicked something wrong. Jump ring surface. Okay. And then if you want this to be somewhere else, let's go ahead and divide this so we can see what quadrant we're in. So what I do is I'm not going to split it, but we have 4 quadrants. So I'm going to make 4 different pieces. And now if we want this to be like up here at the top, we can move this from here to there, and now it will be at the top of it. I probably want to leave it right here to begin with. You know what? I can still see that this is going to line up with the edge of our wall. And when I rotate this, I can do I can do all of that when this is up here. This doesn't need to be as long as it is now. And these points that tell us our quadrant, I want to select the points without selecting the curve, but they're in a group. Okay, 5 points added. I'm going to put that onto 0, so it's got history on it, and I work with lock history on, but just put it on 0 so we don't have to see it. Okay, so there's the jump ring for the bail. We want to be in the top third, but maybe that's a little too high. We can drop that down a little bit. And we'll have to figure this out when we figure out where the center of gravity is on this, like, because we don't want it to hang like this way or that way. We want it to hang in the middle. And you just eyeball it when you're done. You can kind of tell where all of your weight is. Like if this is all closed, then your center of gravity is going to be more towards the center. If this is open or if this is highly perforated, it'll be a little bit closer to the front edge. Because where we set the stones, that has most of our meat that we're using. Okay. Now, so that's one option, to hang it with a jump ring. Another option is where we cut a hole through the pendant to kind of like lace a stone through. So let's make another layer, and this is going to be through hole. Okay. Now for this, you're probably dealing with a thinner chain, maybe like we'll make it 1.5. You can always delete the pipe and make it bigger, but just as a default, let's say we want this to be a 1.5 millimeter diameter. That would be the chain. So we probably want this to be a little bit bigger than the chain, huh? Let's delete that and make this, let's do 1.8. I don't know. That I don't remember what I usually cut this out at. Not that I do this. I don't make diamond halos pendants every day, but let's just say 1.8. So I'm going to go to the cutters layer and go to the through hole and put that on surf. Hide that, and then put that on through hole curve. Let's turn off the base and turn that cutter back on. Cutters. Through hole. Oh. It was on. So I'm going to grab that curve, and this needs to be like further down. And then as this chain wears, it's going to be cutting this wall. And it looks like it needs to be a little bit lower so it doesn't interfere with the we don't want a culet sticking through and cutting our chain. That's one. Two, as this thing wears, we've got a very thin wall, and it's going to eat this wall away until it works itself out of... It'll cut its way through, you know, especially like a diamond cut chain with a sharp edge. So what I like to do when I'm using a through hole is just to put a little pad of metal right there. And gosh, I should have done the same thing that I did for this, is base it off of here so I don't have to adjust it later. All right, we'll delete that. I'm going to rotate this way and then move it over 15 millimeter. And then I can put this in place by saying flow rigid, stretch, yes, from there to there. Okay, and now I can move this down. You know what, let me put a circle here that's 1.8. Yeah, okay. And then I can move both of these, move from here, tab lock it up that line to there, and that'll be at the top. And here I can pipe it 1.8. So now I can see, like, is it lower than, the shelf for the diamonds to sit and all that stuff ahead of time. Let's put this onto, I don't want to put it on 0 because we might change that size. And 0 is where I put things that just you never need to touch. But it's not a control. I'll just put it on, it doesn't. I'll just put it on curves. Did I put that on the right layer? Cutters through hole, layout through hole. That needs to be on cutters through hole. Cutters through hole surf. And I'm not going to change the shape of this curve. I figured out what that shape should be, and I just keep reusing it. So I will never edit the shape of that curve, but I will edit the shape of that one. So does this really need to be visible ever? It's not editable. It's not... we want this to match whatever we pipe that with. I don't know. I'll think about that. But the next thing we need is some extra metal right here. So that chain doesn't just have a thin wall to cut through. We'd have a little pad of metal. So I can design that in. Just take a cylinder and put it right here. And there's not really history on this thing, but I'm just going to move it down to the bottom and then just make it kind of an oval and have that oval sit inside the wall. So that way the chain has a little bit extra to rub on as it goes through. And to have it automatically line up with the top of our pendant, I'll do the same thing. I'll rotate off of 0 over to here, move it out 15 millimeter, and then move it up so it's in that top position. And then just do a flow rigid with stretch from there to there. Okay, so now this is going to be on, I guess this will be through hole control. This will be through hole surf. And we've got that in place. So nothing real special, just needs to be lined up with the bottom and make it all the way to where our stones are set. Okay, so that's if we're doing a through hole. We've got jump ring. If we do the 2 jump rings on each corner, we can just use the jump ring that we have. And just take and move it over to the side, mirror it to the other side. So how else would we attach a pendant? It's kind of all I can think of. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Okay. So the next thing I do, I'm going to purge the file to get rid of anything unnecessary. I don't want to purge all my block definitions though. I want to end, because this could work for a cushion. So I'm just going to put a cushion in the corner. And it could work for an oval. Anything with 2 axes of symmetry. So let's see. Asher. Baguette. Nobody would do a baguette. Somebody might. I've built weirder things. We've got a round. We've got a cushion. Emerald cut has 2 axes of symmetry. Let's see. Marquee has... we can't use it with marquee because it's got points. We could use it for an oval and a princess. Okay, so it will work if that princess, if we do a cushion halo, not a square halo. If we do a cushion halo around a princess, the seat won't be cut right. I'll leave it open so that I could work with any of those. All right, now I'm going to do a purge. And purge is going to get rid of block definitions that I'm not using. And then I just delete those. So if I look at block manager, those are still attached to this file, even though they're not in here. But it got rid of, my script generates a lot of extra layers. But any of them that I'm not using, they just go away. Okay. So at this point, I got rid of my geo layer. Should have organized first. Geo. And I'm going to take and drop everything onto the geo layer. Okay, so something like this, and we'll frame it. Oh, I got to put stones on here. Dang it. Undo, 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 undo. Okay, I undid the purge. We got to put stones on here. So what I need to do is do another extract ISO curve from the middle of that point. That's where we're going to put our stones. And then I need, we can do a line from midpoint like here. I'm going to take both of those curves and put them onto, I have a stones layer, and well, I screwed this up. So that goes right after layout. And then I need to put a new sublayer on here for halo body. And we can make that white. Okay. And then I want to insert a block. Let's do a brilliant fishtail. Not that big, 1 millimeter. Okay, and I'll just put it there in the center. And then on the spacer layer, I'm going to do an offset 0.15. Copy that, and then I can lock spacers and then just paste a bunch of them in here. Actually, I'll do this. Unlock that. We will flow rigid stretch, from there to there. Okay, so that's in the middle of that. All right. I was expecting that to be an end. It should be an end. But that's the end. Oh, because that's where it goes off of the profile, not the rail. And we're doing the profile from the midpoint, so that's right. Okay. This is probably where I'll save it because depending on how many stones I'll need, I can copy both of those and then lock spacers, and paste, and I can just move this and I'll get a second one with the spacer up there. So what I'll do is I'll scale this to whatever my stone size is and then paste in however many I need and then move them and it'll update over there. So I'll probably only put one stone in. Yeah. That sounds right. Okay. So let's get this tidied up a little bit. So I'm going to move Halo Body, and then I'll move the rest of these over. Default layer. Select objects. No objects. Okay. Purge will get rid of that. Let's see. I may want a border on this, so let me add another block to this file. Brilliant thread set. Okay. Now we can do the purge. And you know what? I have a button. I save it as it is. And I do the purge in that save. So this is like save as whip. So it'll save one copy before I do all this purging, and then it will save a second copy, which is actually going to be the template. So that's what it does. I'm going to turn off my screen for just a second because I don't show my file explorer on stream because I have customer names in things. But I'm going to run this button. And if you look in the comments for this video, you can find all my toolbars and scripts and everything up on GitHub. But that's what it's going to do. This select by ID is for rings. This is like the base cylinder that all of my rings are based off of. Just things that I don't want to be in the template file because I'm going to drag and drop it into a file that already has a base cylinder that represents the finger rail. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to turn my screen off for just a second. Okay, so I saved that out as Pendant Halo, and when I update GitHub, this file will be in there as well. So let's use it. I'm going to do a file new R7 template, and this is the stuff that's, you know, anytime I drag in one of my templates, there's Pendant Halo, and it should be R7 Pendant Halo underscore Rhino7 dot Pendant Halo. Anytime I bring something in here, like import this file, this base cylinder, those are those select by IDs, so that I'm not bringing in two cylinders, but when I scale this, it updates to this cylinder. So I don't want these to be in my template files, and I got tired of accidentally like leaving these in and forgetting about them, so that ended up in the script. But this is a pendant, so I don't need any of this stuff. I can hit delete. And Pendant Halo you can open up from here. The problem with that is if you save it, you might accidentally overwrite your template file. So I like to do it like this: import file and start with it from this point. Oh, that shouldn't be in there. I should have deleted that and then saved it. Oh well. Next time I think about it, I'll fix that. All right. So let's use this for an actual job. Give me one moment and I'll bring in some stone sizes and we can make this. Be right back. Okay, I got some stone sizes here and we'll drag that out. So let's see, our center, it has a minimum radius of 6, a maximum radius of 615. So right now this is a 5 millimeter. So let's scale this off of 0, scale 2D off of 0. And we want to go to, we can split the difference. So 6.075 divided by 5, the size we're going to, divided by the size we're at now. I did that wrong. Off of 0, you have to do the scale factor, 6.075 divided by 5. There we go. And we can do the same thing here. I'm going to align the gumball to the thing, and we can say 6.075 divided by 5. And now our halo is resized. Everything moved with it. That works really good. Oh, you know what? The prongs didn't move with it. I should have done the prongs different because they're still back here. I'll fix that next time I do that. But I should have put this surface onto here and put it between two of these points so it would end up in this quadrant. For this one, we are doing prong set. So we do not need the bezel. So I'm just going to take turn lock off, grab this bezel and say delete layer, yes to all, and then there's nothing on the layout or cutter for bezel, so that's fine. We are also not going to do through hole for this. We need the jump ring. So I will take through hole and delete layer, yes to all, and the cutter, delete layer, yes to all. But we will be using the jump ring. We do need to put a base on it. We do need to do a cutout on the sidewall and the bottom. So next are stones. So this is going to be a fishtail setting. So I need to come over here. I probably should turn this off in the template because I don't ever need to touch the curves for this, just the control. So we've got 1.1s and a 1.2. 18 stones total. Well, that's kind of a pain in the butt. Let's make it for a 1.2. So right now this is designed for a 1.3. So we'll just grab, we'll turn all these points on. Oh, 0 needs to be locked. I unlocked 0 to get rid of the base plane, but 0 needs to be locked. I also don't want this, so I'll lock that. Okay, points on. This needs to come back 1/10 minus 0.1. So now it was for a 1.3, now it's for a 1.2 with a fishtail edge. This has a slight bit of rotation to it, so probably like -5. A little bit of a shape there. This needs to snappy dragging. I want to, why won't, I know I did that before. How do I get that? Oh, snap. I'll just move it. Move along this line, tabs, lock it, get that oh snap, and there. Now it'll be flat. That's going to tilt down. What is this? Oh, that base. That extracted ISO curve. So the good thing about extracted ISO curves, the surface flipped because join copy does weird things in version. So join copy was my feature request. I've complained about this since they first introduced it, that join copy will move the seam of this curve. And when it moved the seam, this ISO curve moved with it. In version 8, it's been fixed. But the nice thing about extract ISO curve is that there's a move, but it locks it to that surface. You can't go through a poly surface. Tragic. Version 8, this is not a problem. It's not really a problem here. We can just redo it, but that's unfortunate. Our stone. Select children. That lost its way too. So we need to go ahead and delete that at the same time. We can grab these back. It just Rhino things. You know, I tell them like it's changing the seam of where this is, and then I get, why is that a problem? Because it's a problem. I'm not complaining for fun. Okay, now we can flow that back. Flow, rigid stretch, yes, from there to there. And, oh, I didn't do that. I would have had to redo it anyway. So when I do flow rigid, stretch, yes. Another one of my feature requests is to have a target surface. So if you noticed, it's not rotating. I want it to rotate. So this is another one of my feature requests where we grab that and say this target surface and then that curve, and now it's going to rotate with, it'll use the Z of the surface to determine, instead of using the C-plane Z like it normally does, it'll use the Z of the surface. And we can, let's see. Let's go ahead and scale this. Spacers should be locked, not yet, because we got to copy paste. We are aligned to object, so we can scale this up. This is 1.1. So now that's a 1.1 millimeter stone. We need 3 of those. So I'm going to grab this and this. Copy, and I'll paste 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And we can, oh, I've got 4 of them, which is okay. On the 4th one, I'm going to grab this and scale that. This needs to be the 1.2, 1.2, the size we want to go to, divided by the size it's at now, 1.1. Okay, so I'm going to grab its unlock spacer. I wasn't ready to lock that yet. Grab it and say copy. So I've got 1 and I need to get to 15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. And I'm going to do 16. And the reason I'm going to do 16, it'll be apparent in 1 second. So I'm going to move this. Let's use this so I snap to the bottom. I'm going to move this out to the end. I'm going to take one of these and move that out to the end. And then I kind of need these three to be right next to each other. So I'll just go ahead and move them. And then, now I want to turn spacers off. And then we call distribute. And we can use automatic for the spacing along the x-axis. They're all too close together. Okay, so this isn't going to work. This is why I did 16. That 16th one is just going to let me get them spaced out even. So I'll grab that 16th one, select children. I need to do that for the spacer too. Select children. Children. Now I got the extra block plus its spacer, and I will hit delete. Okay. That's a 1.1. That's a 1.1. That's a 1.1. Select children. Okay, so there's our 1.1. So we'll see a little bit of funniness in the spacing between those guys, but not the others. All right. Let's see. I kind of want those to be at the bottom. How can I do that? Make the top all the big ones. It's a tenth. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we have enough spacing in here. So she's got too many stones for this pendant, but I think we're supposed to use them all. So let's make it bigger. Let's grab this, and we'll just drag it out. We're getting close to being better on the spacing. We'll drag it out a little bit more. You know what? I'm dragging it out the wrong way. What I should do is grab this and the front half of it and drag it the other way. Okay, that's too much spacing. Bring it back, bring it back. Those are just starting to touch. Okay. I used distribute wrong. I should have turned spacers off. I should have done distribute. Instead of spacing, I should say 0.3. That's 0.15 and 0.15 on the x-axis. And then I can take and mirror this over to the other side like this. And now I take this curve point and say set X to our dummy stone, our 16th. And take this point and make sure that it's on that stone. Okay, now when we turn our spacers on, they're all going to be equal to each other except for these. Okay, well that's understandable, but that's not understandable. Oh. I'm going to take and put our dummy stone on the end. Break history on that. I'm going to move this. I'm just going to move it. Why is my brain not working? Offset 0.15. Move this from here to there. And then move this curve, set that X to there. And set that X to there. Now my spacing will be even. It's still not. Oh, it is even. It's just It's even, but we just don't have enough space. So we take this and we move it a little bit more in. And when we move it in, we make this move out and we get more space, and we go just until we're right there. Okay, now all of our stones have 0.3 of a millimeter in spacing between. Our 1.1s, I wanted those to be in the middle. Select children, or at the bottom. Select children. Select children. So if I want that to be in the bottom, our curve starts right there. Oh gosh, it's going to do my head in. And I'm only worried because my setter has to know where they go. Because if he puts a 1.1 up here by accident, then he's going to have too much space. And if he puts, you know, two 1.2s in the 1.1 spots, he's going to not have, I mean, potentially not have enough space. If they were like 129 and 129, the girdles are going to touch. So unfortunately, I got to figure this out. So we'll do the divide trick again. Divide into 4. Okay, so this is this quadrant, and that point is going to be that bottom quadrant. So what I'm going to do is move this from here to that middle 1.1 stone. And then all the ones that are running off the edge, these guys out here, I just move that, lock the spacers, move that from there to there. And now those match up, but I'm missing a stone. Why am I missing a stone? One of them's on top of each other. 3 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, 5 blocks, 4 blocks. 19 blocks. I have 18. 19 blocks. I have one extra stone over here. Oh, this is off the edge. Oh, okay. All right. That's 19 blocks. I should only have 18. So this is off because it doesn't need to be there. So that gets deleted. Now we've got 18 blocks. Over here, we've got 18 blocks. But I flowed this with stretch. Oh my goodness. I had spacer locked when I did that. Where's this guy? $18. Oh, the center block. Okay. I know what I did. This is my dummy block that's still in here, so I'm just going to delete it. Take this guy and this guy, select children. that one, copy, paste, move this into the right place. Turn off this center stone. 18 blocks. 18 blocks. Oh my goodness. Brain's just not working. Okay, so we can't really do the stone layout in here because join copy will flip those curves. Do I need to use join copy? No. I could do these all as individual. I could like sweep all of these, and I probably should. I probably should redo the template. But version 8 is around the corner. I don't use this often enough. I don't think it's worth worrying about. The last thing is these stones need to be below the surface, not sitting on top of the surface. So I'm going to drop them down by 0.3. And we'll check the spacing one more time. That's very close. So maybe not 0.3, but like better than point. Measure distance. 0.291. Close enough. All right. Now we are ready to... I've got my jump ring. Is that where I want it to be? Maybe I'll move it down a little bit. Turn on. No objects are hitting. Oh, there, I locked it. Maybe I'll move this down just a little bit. Actually, this needs to go. This needs to go onto that edge. Oh, it's bigger than the wall. It's going to poke through. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I can always just move it like there. It can. We just don't want the jump ring to be any bigger than it has to be, right? And then where is my center of gravity? We can move it down just a little bit. Oh, we did rotate it. Okay. We made the bottom flat. What's left? Our fishtail cutter is not long enough, so what I can do, just bring this in a little bit. Yeah, just bring it in a little bit. Yeah, ISO curve is moving. The other option is we just edit the block. Let's see. This is this way, going around. So this is the top. Okay. The other option is edit the embedded block. We take this face, we move it out, make it wider, and take this face, make it a little skinnier. And now we get kind of a fan cutout, which is good to do for, because my setter is going to pull prongs from right here, so I kind of do want that to be skinnier, and this one to be a little bit wider. Does it need to be that tall? Yeah, I think that's fine. Kind of remaking something based off of a picture. So yeah, that's it. I'll do the fillet edges. Fillet. If you do an asterisk first, it repeats. So asterisk fillet. And then this is the radius we wanted to use there. That's the radius we wanted to use there. I'm going to change it to 0.2. That's the radius we're going to use there and there. And I'm not doing the right curve. Dang it. I want to turn control off, turn curve on, lock off, asterisk, fillet, Now I'm on the 0.2. I'll do those and then those. And my stone layout is breaking every time I do it. Okay. Unlock, undo. Back to here. What I can do is select those children. Like I'm done. I'm okay with breaking history at this point. So I'm going to grab those and just call my little break history script. And now none of those have history anymore. Now I can turn that off. Make sure lock is off. Asterisk fill it. Not fill. Asterisk fill it. Okay, now I want to do the bigger radius. What does that look like? Do I want to do that? No. Okay, that's all the fillets I want to do. That's good. And if I want to make a bottom plate, which I don't, I would grab that ISO curve and do it that way. All right, well, that's it. I'm going to save this out and go into 3D Coat and do my booleans, and then it's off to the printer. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry for the mistakes. I try and think ahead as much as I possibly can, and then there's a curveball. But once you get like a template really worked out well, like I haven't used anything other than one of these shanks in 4 years now. I've been doing these with the shank templates and prong, and like most of these are just bulletproof. And by the third time I redo this, it'll be bulletproof. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you over on Discord if you guys have any questions. Okay, bye.